Welcome into the TexAgs Rewind presented by Specs. Let me tell you something great about Specs. How about pumpkin spice game day ice, savings on seasonal sips? Don't miss the fall sale at Specs because the fun starts here. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Sydney Clevenger, who is an excellent movie trivia queen.
I am.
Especially from the 90s.
Yes, definitely.
Favorite part of the show?
I really liked when Bronny was in here for Recruiting Country because got a little hometown shout out.
Yeah, that you did.
Yes.
Very, very well. I don't know if Bronny made the cut. We'll see. Cade, who did you like on the Rewind?
Well, I will say I liked Max Wright. I always say that, but Max Wright is always good. So, yeah.
Okay. He's got the right stuff. Who else made the Rewind?
Well, we had Olin Buchanan in the Go Hour. We talked some the initial college football playoff rankings just came out. Then Max Wright, obviously. And then Jamie Morrison. Aggie volleyball's on a heater right now, absolute heater. And then Peter Burns closed it out.
So basically, you're wrong. Bronny didn't make the cut.
I was wrong.
It's all right. I think you had a good one. I picked on you enough today. Check out the Rewind. So I'm not surprised it came in at third. Where I have a problem is the rationale behind it, right? And to me, what it feels like, if A&M were to lose, they would drop, not out of the rankings, not out of the top 12, obviously, but it just feels like with their argument, and who's A&M beat? Well, we can go over that right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I had them, I was guessing that they'd be second. So I'm not going to, get bent out of shape because they were one spot lower.
Yep. Unless
I had them 12 and they were 13, then I'd be out of shape out of that. But when somebody says, well, their defense isn't this or their defense isn't that, I just kind of, whatever, dude, because it doesn't matter. All you got to do is play. But I still believe that individuals, if we're looking at things through the eye test, different people see different things. Mm-hmm. And just because, and it's not like they've got experts on that panel. I mean, look, Hunter Yurachek is on that committee. Hunter Yurachek, the guy who's supposed to be the expert on what a good football is, hired Chad Morris and Sam Pittman at Arkansas.
Yes,
and this is your expert on great football. So, and then there's some people on there that didn't even play football. So I hate that it's up to individuals to make these rankings because people are inherently biased. I'm of the guy that says go back to the computers, but okay, you know what? From A&M's perspective, it doesn't matter.
Just win.
If you beat Missouri and beat South Carolina and beat Texas, you're going to get a bye. You'll probably be number 2, if not number 1. If you do that, if you don't deserve to be in, especially if you lose all 3 of them, and you won't be. So just win your game.
Since you were just in the locker room a couple years ago, how much content do you guys take in? What we say at TexAgs, what ESPN says, SEC Network. I know coaches try to block out the noise, and social media, right? Social media is in these kids' face at all times. How much do you start believing your press clippings, what you believe what people say? How much anger do you take when they slight your team?
I think it depends on what you're trying to take. I think in terms of people saying great things about you, you kind of always take it with a grain of salt, to be honest. As a guy who was in that locker room, they'll praise you and talk all high about you whenever you do well, but as soon as you drop a pass or something, you're the worst person that's ever played the game of football. So, it comes in ebbs and flows, and guys who've been in the game long enough and have, a mature mentality whenever it comes to approaching the game of football, they know that. And the stuff that you see out on social media, a lot of these people, they've never been in a college football locker room. So they don't know what actually happens behind closed doors. They don't know, the work that you're putting in week to week to be the best player that you can be. So I know that that's what Elko's, implementing for these guys is to kind of block the noise. And it's great. People are talking great about you because you're playing great football, but ultimately people's opinions don't matter. And especially moving in towards the end of the season, what matters is the people inside that locker room and the opinions of your teammates and the opinions of your coaches. That's what matters. And good teams are going to keep the main thing. I think that's where I'm really excited. And I've been, really pleased with the maturity of this team is I haven't seen a lot of social media posts or things that have been put out by them that maybe would put them in a situation where I think they're considering the outside noise too much. I think it's a mature team that's handling it well. But to kind of wrap up what I'm saying, I really think that in order for you to be a good football team and finish out the year strong, you have to block out some of this extra stuff that's going to come out right now, especially as we get into the later part of November, where swings are going to happen. You're going to have good teams lose, and the playoff rankings are going to get kind of mixed up a little bit. Focus on ball. Focus on going out and winning these games, and it'll all turn out how it's supposed to. That's what needs to be the mindset.
The atmosphere Friday, and then before, during, and after.
If you go before, we were 45 minutes before first serve, and the student section was pretty much full already. There were people lined up outside the door ready to come in, and I got notice of that 2 hours before the match. And so that's the before, and I went out there and said hi to a few of the fans that were out there and just said thank you. The during, I don't think I've been in an atmosphere like that, and it's a really cool, and I had a moment, I think even in the middle of the third or something like that, where I looked around and I was really proud that we have this many people that are starting to understand how entertaining and beautiful and amazing and graceful and powerful our sport is. Mm-hmm. And then just thankful that we have, a fan base that's not just there to, be a fan and sit down and kind of just golf clap, but people were on their feet. They were loud. I guarantee that crowd, I turned around at one point and gave them a golf clap because I couldn't be super fired up for the crowd, but I guarantee they earned us probably 6 to 8 points in that match, in a match that was decided by 2 points in the fifth. And I think especially the young players on that team, they were looking around being like, man, this is amazing. And I think from a competitive advantage standpoint, it's amazing for us that, we have a place where people are going to be really intimidated to come play. I think from a recruiting standpoint, recruits were watching that. We had one in the house that just, they want to be a part of that. And I can't, be more eternally grateful to the 12th man for not only showing up, but just the way that people are being engaged in those matches and helping us win.
I've got to assume, and maybe I'm crazy here, but following up that kind of win, that emotional roller coaster, and then going on the road and having to do it again, that's got to be even a more difficult challenge. That
was, again, if you were asking me the two things I'm most proud of, it's the way our crowd showed up and showed out. And then the turnaround that we had playing Tennessee was a really, really good volleyball team. And I had it circled on my calendar, and I said it the beginning of last week, regardless of what happens on Friday, how we turn around and go into this matters. And I was really nervous. And then we got our girls in for video on Saturday morning before we took off on our plane. And just everyone was on the edge of their seats, listening, engaged, asking questions. And at that moment, it was every bit of stress just let go of my body. I'm like, we're going to be okay.
What was your thoughts on the way the CFP rankings came out?
That's fine. I mean, I used to lose my mind over it when it first came down, and then now I realize there's a lot of football still to be played. There's probably as much parity as there ever been, so I think we're in for a wild finish. So I don't really necessarily look at the top of it where A&M is at right now, because that kind of plays itself out where you're quote unquote safely in. I look more towards all right, what are they going to do with Miami and Notre Dame? Are they going to honor head to head? Where's Texas and OU at? I mean, even stories like Vanderbilt, how far back is Vanderbilt, who I think has a very realistic chance of winning out, because they're going to be at home against Auburn, home against Kentucky, and then on the road at Tennessee, and we don't know what Tennessee's going to be at by the last week of the season. So those are the things I look at right now, and I don't get too fired up until I can see if there's movement starting the next week.
All right, so 9 SEC teams in the rankings and 7 Big Ten teams. What do you think? I forget who I was listening to yesterday, but somebody was saying he sees a world where 6 SEC teams get into the playoffs. I don't know about that, but I'd love to see it.
The thing is it's about how many teams you can get in. Yes, I get it. But how many teams can realistically compete for a national championship? And I think there's only really 2 teams right now that I can say I can see them winning a title from the SEC. I think that's Alabama with the way that they're playing. And, of course, A&M, who I've been, as number one in my power rankings for the last, over a month. And so I look at those teams and I'll be like, all right, could you compete against Ohio State? If Indiana, who I think is truly real this year, I don't think they were last year, but can you compete with them? Absolutely. On the other ones, I say, even Ole Miss, for an example. I think Ole Miss is a good team this year, but Ole Miss reminds me of what Tennessee was last year. They're going to probably get into the college football playoff. I think there's some danger if they play their A+ game, but I haven't really seen their A+ game all season long. So I think it'll end up being 4 or 5 teams that necessarily get in. And the big deal right now is Notre Dame. because right now as the SEC goes, you kind of need Notre Dame to lose a game. But at the same point, if you're A&M, you're like, no, I want A&M. I want Notre Dame to continue to win, so that way that win over in South Bend looks a whole lot more impressive.
All right, we're going to close it out. And I want you to close it out, and somewhere in there, I want you to talk about some of the movies we discussed today. Reality Bites and Forrest Gump.
Okay.
Go.
Make sure you run like Forrest and run to the comments and comment your favorite part of the rewind, and make sure you like and subscribe as well. And I don't remember the other one.
Reality Bites.
Reality Bites.
If you don't subscribe to the channel, we'll see you next time.